Good morning. My name is Avram Horowitz. I'm the son of Rabbi Horowitz, Rosh Hashiva of Tvar Yerushalayim. I'm here visiting from America. I was born in England, Manchester, England. Then I grew up here in Eretz Yisrael, and now I live in the United States, in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm going to be talking today about the curriculum of learning Torah. And this is a very important issue that I think is important for every whatever knowledge they have of Torah, whether they're advanced, whether they're beginners, everyone has to have a goal, how he's going to finish the whole Torah in his lifetime. And it's a mitzvah. Apart from the mitzvah of just learning Torah, there's a mitzvah of finishing the whole Torah. And we talk about the whole Torah. The Talmud says, is in the Talmud, that a person should divide up his time, and he should study a third of his time, he should study Tanakh, a third of his time he should study Mishnah, and a third of his time he should study Gemara. So we'll start off first with the Tanakh. I wrote a program that a person should try and finish Tanakh every year, and I guess the first time a person does it, he should just learn the basics, and then he can go more deeply. But of course, as we know, there's another Gemara in Brachos, and it's brought in Shulchan Aruch, that every person has to study every week the parasha of the week. He has to study it twice, and once twice the Chumash, and once the Targum. Targum is the Aramaic translation on the Torah, which was written by Onkelos. And some Rishonim say that a person could substitute Rashi instead of Targum. Some say you should do both Rashi and Targum. So if someone does not have enough knowledge in Aramaic and he doesn't understand the Targum, some Rishonim say he could read it even in the translation in another language. But of course the Targum is Misinai. It's has in it a lot of extra things that we can learn. It's not just a translation. So today this week's parasha is Parshas Matos. And if you have a Chumash, you can join in with me. I'm going to start what a person I think should do. The best way is, which a lot of people do it this way, is on Sunday you study till Sheni, and then Monday, which is today, we study from Sheni until Shlishi, Parshas Matos. So that's what we're going to read the parsha here. And the best way to do it, according to the Shlah and the Gra, is to look at the Psuchos and Stumos, the Psuchos and Stumos in the Torah. If you go Parshas Matos, chapter 31, verse 1, there's a pei, which symbolizes Psucha, which if you look in the Sefer Torah, that means that starts on a new line. It means that it's a new subject. Sorry about that. It's a new subject. And we're going to read the Chumash. If you have the Chumash, please open up. Again, chapter 31, verse 1. And we're going to read it with the trop, with the taimim, which is also from Sinai. The taimim isn't just a way to sing a song. It has a lot of meaning in it. It tells you when the commas, there's small commas, bigger commas. It's a whole system, very logical system, how the verses are broken up. So if you want, you can say it with me. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor nekoim nikmas bnei Yisrael meis hamidyonim achar teosef el amecho vaydaber Moshe elom lemor hey cholzu meitchem anoshim latzovo viyu al midyon oseis nikmas Adonai b'midyon elef lamate l'choel matois Yisrael tishlechu latzovo vayemosru me alfei Yisrael אלף למטה, 12,000 חלוצי צבא, וישלח אויסום מוישה, 1,000 למטה לצבא, אויסום, ויעש פנחס, בן אלעזר הכהן לצבא, אוכלי הקודש, וחצו יצרויס התרועה בידוי, ויצבעו על מדיון, כאשר ציווה אדוני את מוישה, ויהרגו כל זכור, את מלכי מדיון, הרגו על חלליהם. Es Evi ve'es Rekem ve'es Tzur ve'es Chur ve'es Reva 5 מלכי מדיון ואיס בילום בן בויל הרגו בחורב וישבו בני ישראל es נשי מדיון es טפום V'eskol beim tom, v'eskol mikneihem, v'eskol chelom bozozu, v'eskol oreihem b'moish v'esom, v'eskol tiroisom, sorfu beish, v'eichu eskol asholol, v'eskol amalkoyach, bo'odom, u'v'abheimo, v'yoviu el Moshe, ולעזור הכהן ולדס בני ישראל אס השבי ואס המלכויח ואס השלול אל המחנה אל ארבויס מיום אשר על ידי נירחוי. So now what we read now is from Sheni to Shlishi. It's very important that everybody should study the timing, the trop, know what the trop, what they mean, and of course it's very important to know Hebrew, to understand Hebrew, because without knowing Hebrew you can't understand the Torah, even though today there's a lot of books, a lot of Torah books in English, but the best way is to learn Hebrew and know it from the Lashon HaKodesh, from the holy language of Hashem, the way it was written. That's why it's very important, and I think it's a very good idea that here in the yeshiva they have ulpan, and a few hours a day. I think it's one of the only yeshivas that has it, because that's, I think, number one, is to know Hebrew. And now we're going to go to the Aramaic Targum Onkelos that was written by a convert, Onkelos Hager, and he was lived about 2,000 years ago. He was a student of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, the same time as Rabbi Akiva, and he wrote the Targum Onkelos, and really the Targum Onkelos goes back from Moshe Rabbeinu, and it's Aramaic translation. Very important also to know Aramaic. Aramaic is very close to Hebrew. Aramaic is also considered a holy language. Like we said, it's very close to Hebrew, and it's important that everybody should know Aramaic, because also the Gemara was written in Aramaic, and the way to start, if someone's a beginner, the way to start is to read the Targum Onkelos, try and maybe write down all the words that you don't know, the roots of the words, and that's how you can work on Targum Onkelos. Another very important book, especially if you're learning Gemara, is a book written by Rabbi Aryeh Carmel that used to teach in the yeshiva, is not alive anymore. He wrote a book called Aiding Talmud Study, which is the basic Aramaic words used in the Talmud. And every beginner learning Talmud should have that book and study it, because that's the way to understand the Talmud. And I realize today there's Art Scroll and everything else, but the best thing is to learn in the original Hebrew and the original Aramaic. So we're going to look together again, Targum Onkelos chapter 31, verse 1, and we're going to read the Onkelos and try and understand what it means. So if you want, you can say it with me. Umalel Hashem im Moshe lemeimar, which means Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Ispara Poronos b'nei Yisrael mimidyonai, Bosar kain tiskanesh la'amoch. Take revenge of the Jewish people from the Midianites, and then you will gather to your people. Which means after you take the revenge of the Midianites, what did the Midianites do?
What did they do?
What's the revenge that the Midianites?
Because they caused the plague through harlotry, directed by Bilam, who was the father of harlotry, some people say, father of prostitution.
Yeah. And not from the Moabites. Why not from the Moabites? The Moabites were the ones
Ruth,
who did.
because of Ruth.
Oh, so Rashi gives two reasons. Rashi says, because the Moabites, if you read the Rashi, the Moabites were afraid. But the Midian, because they were right next to the Jewish people, right next to them, right?
They didn't let us pass. So weren't they the ones that didn't let us pass?
Well, they were afraid, right? But they were afraid, like it says Moab was afraid. But the Midianites, they were living far away. They didn't have to get involved, but they did get involved. And that's why they were punished, right? So it's like the Iranians getting involved with Hamas, right? Hamas are right next door. So they hate us, but okay, they're afraid. But what do the Iranians get involved, right? They send in the weapons and everything. So here, Hashem said, take revenge from the Midianites. And the other reason Rashi says is what you said, that because the Moabites, Ruth is going to be descended from the Moabites, so that's why that's why Hashem said not to take revenge on the Moabites. And then Moshe will. Then Hashem said to Moshe, and then he's going to die, right?
What does that say? For us not to take revenge on Hamas?
We should. And then, next pasuk Gimel. Umalel Moshe imamel lemeimar, and Moshe spoke to the people. Zrizu minchon guvrin lechelo b'hoin al midyon lemitam porons din amod Hashem b'midyon. So Moshe said to the people, get ready. Zeriz, what Zeriz mean? Quickly, right? Or be zealous, or it also means to have weapons. Have weapons. They should be on Midian to take revenge, right? So Rashi says, even though Moshe knew that his death is
Imminent.
it said, Hashem said that after he'll take revenge, then he'll die. But still, Moshe Rabbeinu did it in happiness. He went straight away. He went to the Jewish people, said quickly, right? And then Rashi says another thing, that he said, men. So Rashi says it means righteous people. So the soldiers had to be righteous. He took the most righteous people as soldiers. And then Rashi says another thing, that to take the revenge of Hashem. Rashi says whoever goes against the Jewish people is like he's going against Hashem. So like the Hamas, you're right. They say they believe in Hashem and they're religious, right? Religious mission, but it's just a fantasy of theirs. They don't really believe in Hashem, because anyone who really believes in Hashem would realize that why are they going against the Jewish people? It's the people of Hashem. So they don't really believe in Hashem. It's just a fantasy that they're raised with from when they're babies. No, they don't. They're basically idol worshippers. I would say that a lot of the Muslims don't worship Hashem, they worship the Molech. You know the Molech? The Molech was an idol that people... No, Molech. It was an idol that people would throw the children into the fire. They would kill the children. It was an idol, a Canaanite idol. So some of the fundamental Muslims, that's the idol they believe in. They don't believe in Hashem. They throw the children, they encourage their children to be suicide bombers. That's the same as Molech. So they believe in the idol of Molech. That's what they believe in. Pasuk Dalet. Alpha l'shifta, 1,000 for each tribe. Alpha l'shifta, l'chol shiftay Yisrael t'shachon l'chela. So there was 1,000 soldiers from each tribe, right? Rashi says, including the tribe of the Levite tribe. The Levite tribe also gave 1,000 soldiers. Even though later on, right, it says that after they went into the land of Israel, the Levites did not have to join the army. They were the boys that learned in yeshiva, right? That's how they supported the people. And that's right. The Rambam says that everybody can be like Shevet Levi. Everyone who wants to learn in yeshiva and not go to the army, he's like Shevet Levi. He's like the tribe of Levi, right? Someone asked Moshe Feinstein if he should go to a Hesder yeshiva, where they also go to the army, or he should go to a regular yeshiva. And Moshe Feinstein told him, go to a regular yeshiva. If you're ready to learn full time, go to a regular yeshiva. Because it's more important, there should be people studying Torah all the time than going to the army, right? Of course, it's better to be in a Hesder yeshiva than just to be in the army. I'm not saying that. But if you have an option between going to a Hesder yeshiva or going to a regular yeshiva and learning full time, Moshe said that it's better to learn full time.
Hezi?
What? Moshe Feinstein.
No, you said Hezi?
Hesder.
The army 3-4 years and yeshiva 3-4 years.
Do we have to assume that, similar to David HaMelech, when he fought the Philistines, the men had to give their wives gets, temporary gets, in case, so they wouldn't become agunas? Is that in this time period here the same thing, or?
No, here they didn't do it because no one died.
Miraculous, and they would.
No one died here.
Okay.
Yeah, Hashem told Moshe do this, and they weren't afraid that they're going to die because they had Hashem's protection.
Will be captured.
Right. Pasuk Hey, ve'isbechoru me'alfai Yisrael, and they were chosen from the thousands of the Israelites. Alpha l'shifto, 1,000 for each tribe. Treasar alfin mezarze chela, 12,000. Again, Rashi says to tell you the greatness of the shepherds of Israel. That how much the Jewish people love their leaders, their Torah leaders, because before they were against Moshe Rabbeinu. Some of the people wanted even to kill him, but here they heard that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to die after they take revenge on Midian. They didn't really want to go and fight because they didn't want Moshe to die. So, but they were forced to. That's what it says, Vayimosru, they were forced. They didn't want to go to do it because they didn't want Moshe Rabbeinu to die. Ushlach Yason Moshe Alpha L'Shifto L'Chelo Yason V'Yaspinchos Bar Lozor Kahana L'Chelo Umone D'Kutsho V'Chatzosis Yabefto B'Idei. And Moshe Rabbeinu sent 1,000 from each tribe for soldiers, and Pinchas was the leader. He was the general. Pinchas ben Elazar HaKohen, and they were carrying with them the vessels, the Chatzorsis Yabefto, the holy vessels, and the trumpets in their hand. Rashi says, them and Pinchas was as righteous as all of them together. Why did Pinchas go and not Elazar, his father? His father Elazar was still alive, so why did Pinchas go? Hashem said, since he started the mitzvah that he killed Cosby, Bastur, he should finish. Right? Another reason is he went to take revenge for his great-grandfather Yosef, who was sold by the Midianites. Rashi says, how do we know that Pinchas' mother was from Yosef? It says in another pasuk, one of the names of, it says the daughters of Patiel. Patiel, it says Pinchas was descended from the daughters of Patiel. Patiel, the word Patiel implies Yisro, because Patiel means he fattened cows for idol worship, and that was Yisro. And it also means Yosef, who conquered his evil desires. So Patiel means conquering, going against his evil desire. Another reason Rashi says that why did Pinchas go is because he was the chaplain, the war chaplain. He was Mashuach Milchoma, which means they used to have a high priest who would be anointed with oil to be the leader of the Jewish people when they went to war. And he would say to them, get ready for war, don't be afraid, Hashem is with you. So that was Pinchas' job. So we have here 3 reasons why Hashem sent Pinchas. The first reason is because he started the mitzvah, he killed Cosby, so he should finish it. And he was the one that killed Bilam, right? The second reason, he went to take revenge for Yosef, who was sold by the Midianites. And the third reason, because he was the chaplain of the war.
I have a question.
Yes.
Kohen who sheds blood, even if it's in self-defense, he can't duke it. So what about Pinchas? In other words, you have to assume he shed blood so that he could...
Because he killed Bilam. Hashem told him to do it.
No, when he killed Cosby...
Well, then he wasn't a Kohen yet.
So in other words, he shed blood. So the question is...
I think it only means if someone sheds blood for someone who, if someone is Chayiv Misa, if someone is supposed to be killed, then that doesn't apply. It's only if someone sheds blood when he shouldn't have.
In other words, it's not a matter of self-defense. It's premeditated, or he just...
Not even if it's self-defense. I think it's also he could still be a priest.
Blood, so
No, so I'm saying I think that rule a Kohen who killed someone cannot duchen and cannot work in the Beis Hamikdash. It's only if he wasn't supposed to kill that person. But if there was a mitzvah to kill that person, let's say Bilam or Cosby, then it doesn't apply. But when he killed Cosby, he wasn't a Kohen yet. He only became a Kohen after. But Bilam, when he killed Bilam, he was a Kohen already. So he took with them the vessels, the holy vessels. What were the holy vessels? Rashi says it was the Aron, the Ark with the Luchos, and the Tzitz. The Tzitz was the golden head plate that said on it, Holy to Hashem. The reason why they took it, because Bilam was with the Midianites, and he had magic, and he could fly. He was a paratrooper. He could fly, right? So what happened was, Pinchas pointed the tzitz at him, at Bilam, and then they fell. Well, he managed to, with his magic, he managed to get a lot of the people to fly, and then they would point the tzitz and they would fall down. So Rashi says that's why it says they fell on the dead, because they fell down from the heavens. They were flying and they fell down. And it was in his possession, Rashi says. The Targum Yonas and Ben Uziel, apart from the Targum Onkelos, which is the Bilam, and he also the other kings.
Does Pinchas put that up there, and because he could fly, he flew.
Pinchas flew.
Yeah, isn't that how he killed the whole army? He was flying above them. He killed all of them by himself. That's what I thought.
I don't remember. Maybe. I don't remember. Okay, so the Targum Yonas and Ben Uziel. Apart from the Targum Onkelos, there's another Targum which is in some Chumashim, like this Chumash Mikros Gedolos has it, called Targum Yonas and Ben Uziel. Yonas and Ben Uziel was the student of Hillel, the biggest student. Hillel had 80 students. The biggest student was Yonas and Ben Uziel. He was such a holy person that whenever he would study Torah, the birds that would fly over him would die, because he would create so much spiritual energy that the birds would fly over, they would die. So he was a very holy person, and he wrote the Targum to the prophets. He probably didn't write the Targum to the Chumash. I don't know why they call it Targum Yonas, because he didn't write it. But it was written over 2,000 years ago. It was the same time as Onkelos, maybe a little bit after. And it has some additions, midrash, extra midrash. So there it says that they also had the Urim V'Tumim, the Choshen, right? The Choshen, the Pinchas also wore it. And of course they took the trumpets, because with the trumpets they would use it for war, to gather people together, right? The trumpets were used during war. They gathered on Midian, like Moshe had commanded, like Hashem had commanded Moshe, and they killed all the males. V'yas malchei Midian ktolu al ktilein, yos Evi v'yasrekem v'yaschur v'yaschur v'yasreva, chamsho malchei Midian, v's Bilam bar Ba'or kochtolu b'charbo. They killed the 5 kings of Midian, and Bilam was with them, and they killed him also. So Rashi says, why does the Torah write that there were 5 kings? If you count them, you'll see there's 5 kings. So why does the Torah have to tell you there was 5? To teach you that they were all together, they were all against the Jewish people, they all had the same idea, and they were all evil, and they all got punished the same way. Bilam was with them because he went to get the reward for killing the 24,000 Jews. So, and then he went out of Midian towards the Jewish people, and he was telling these 5 kings, don't be afraid, because when there were 600,000, we managed to kill them. So now they only have 12,000. Now they're only coming to make a war with us with 12,000 soldiers. We shouldn't be afraid. And they paid him. They paid him a lot of money, it says. With a sword, they killed him with a sword because the Jewish people, the way they survive is through prayer, right? Through Tehillim, through prayer. The Goyim, they survive through Tilim, through rockets, right? They're using war, they use swords. But here, Bilam switched. He tried to kill the Jews by cursing them. So he was using the Jewish power of the word. So therefore the Jews came with the sword to kill him. So here it says in the Targum Yonasan, when Bilam saw Pinchas, he was flying in the air. Then Pinchas also said the name of Hashem, a holy name of Hashem, and he flew behind him. And then he caught him in his head, and he pulled out his sword. He wanted to kill him. So then Bilam says to Pinchas, please don't kill me. If you don't kill me, I'll swear to you that my whole life I won't curse your people. So he said to him, you are the same as Lavan, who wanted to kill Yaakov. And when they went down to Egypt, you were the one who sent Amalek when they came out of Egypt. You were the one in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, who suggested to Pharaoh to throw the Jewish children into the Nile River. Right? It was Bilam. And then when we went out of Egypt, you were the one who suggested to Amalek to kill us. And then you were the one who wanted to curse us. And then you were the one who told Balak to get the daughters of Moab to seduce the Jewish people. And because of you, 24,000 people died. I can't let you live anymore. And right away he took the sword out and killed him. So you're right. Who said that? That he also flew in the air? Shmuel, thanks. Yeah, so it does say that in Targum Yonasan. He pronounced the name of Hashem and he also flew in the air. And he killed him in the air. Are you following along with us? What's your name?
I remembered it because I thought it was a cool part.
Uri? Okay. What?
I remembered it because I thought it was really cool.
Uh,
You know why all the superheroes wear
Jewish.
capes, right? They're all
they
Jewish.
fly. The Jewish.
It's talits.
Uh-huh.
Superman. The Jewish.
There's no tzitzis on them.
Superman. Super Yid. Super Jewish.
Ushvoi b'nei Yisrael yas neshei Midian v'yas tafal hoin v'yas kol b'yiroin v'yas kol geisen v'yas kol nichsein bozu. And the Jewish people, they caught the women and the children and all the animals, all their sheep, on all their possessions. V'yas kol kirveihoin b'moisvonehoin, and all their cities in Midian. Midian, by the way, is somewhere around Saudi Arabia, is Midian.
Have you been there?
No. V'yas kol beis sigdason, and all their palaces. The palaces. Rashi says it might be their places where the monasteries, where the ministers live. Or it means either the palaces or the monasteries. V'yas kol beis sigdason. Yeah, so according to the Targum, it's also the place where they bow down, the idol places. Vakidu benura, they burnt in the fire. They took all their possessions of the Midianites and all the people and the animals, all the women and children. They brought to Moshe and to Elazar, the high priest, and to all the Jewish people, all the things they captured, the animals and the people and the animals and everything they captured, to Moab on the Jordan by across from the city of Jericho. So what's the difference in these three words? Shvi, Malkoach, and Shalal. It's three words used for booty from the war. So what's the difference? What's the three words? There's three words.
Possessions.
So the Ibn Ezra says that Shvi means like jewelry, anything, just, yeah, like any of their possessions. Shalal, he says, means clothes, the clothes. Malbush. You'll see in Rashi. And Malkoach means, that Rashi also says that. Malkoach is people and animals. Okay, we'll go back. Rashi says they were righteous people and they didn't steal anything. They brought it all to, that's what it says, they brought it all to Moshe and Elazar. They didn't steal anything. Whereas in the time of Yeshua, there was one person who stole, right? Ochon. But in the time of Moshe, this time, there was no one that stole because they were all righteous. Sholol, the booty, it's the clothes and the... Sholol, Rashi says, is clothes and jewelry. Boz is anything else. All the other furniture or anything else. And Malkoach is people and animals. Sometimes Shvi, okay. Shvi is sometimes just, Shvi is another word. So it's really four words. There's Sholol, Boz, Malkoach, and Shvi.
I have a question.
Yes.
He was the priest, the high priest of Midian, Yisrael. And when after he brought his grandsons and his daughter Zipporah to Moshe in the desert, so Moshe said, "Come with us." And he said, "No, I want to start the first seeker. I want to go back and convince my people to convert." So apparently he wasn't successful. In other words,
His family, it says. So maybe it says he wanted to go convert his family.
not, in other words,
I
not
don't
the
know.
general population, just-
Well, yeah. I think the Druze are descended from Israel. The Druze people, they descended from. So I guess they keep the 7 Noahide laws, maybe. I think they do. They keep the 7 laws of Noah. So maybe it means he wanted to convert them to believe in Hashem.
Become Ben Noah.
Yeah. So going back to the curriculum, so we just finished the Chumash part for today. Now we're going to do the Novi. So today, according to my thing that I wrote here, is the book of Yeshaya, which anyway, during this time, we start reading the book of Yeshaya because we have the 3 weeks. We take from different verses in Yeshaya who speaks about the destruction of Yerushalayim. And then we have 7 more weeks after Tisha B'Av that we talk about how Hashem is consoling the Jewish people, and they're all from the book of Yeshaya. But I'm going to read from Yeshaya Perek Daled, chapter 4. If you have it, you can follow along with me. Chapter 4. And this here is talking about the time of it's a time of Ochos, who was the father of Chizkiah. He was a wicked king, the king of Judah, who was wicked. And during his time, there was a king from Aram, from Syria, called Pekach ben Ramalyahu. He was the king from Syria, or the general, and he killed 120,000 people in Yehuda in one day. 120,000 men. So there were very lot of women left, and there was very few men. So it says here that Yeshaya prophesied, and because the Jewish people were sinning, "V'echziku sheva noshim be'ish echad b'yoyim hahu." So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read here. We'll read if you could follow along with me, we're going to do the trop timing. And you can say it with me. V'echziku sheva noshim be'ish echad b'yoyim hahu le'mor לחמנו נאכל, ושמלוסנו נלבוש רק, יקורא שמחו עלינו, אסויף חרפוסנו, ביום ההוא יהיה צמח אדינוי לצבי ולחבוין ופרי אורץ לגוין ולספרס לפליטס ישראל ויו הנשור בציון והנויסו בירושלים קדוש יאמר לוי כל הכסוב לחיים בירושלים אם רוחץ אדינוי אסויס בנוי ציון ואסתמי ירושלים יודיח מקרבו ברוח משפט וברוח בוער וברו אדינוי על כל מכוין הר ציון ועל מקראו ענון יומם ושון ונויגה אש לו ולוי לו כי על כבוד חופו וסוכות תהיה לצל יומם מחוירב ולמחסה למסתור מזרם וממוtor. So now we'll go to the Targum, and this Targum was written by Yonas and Ben Uziel. I said before, the greatest student of Hillel. He wrote this Targum, and the Targum says, "V'yiskefon shvanashin begabrachot." 7 women will hold on to one man, because, like we said before, there were so many widows, and they'll say, "B'nei lemeimor, midilono noichel, we'll eat from ourselves. You don't have to support us. We'll buy our own food. Umidilonon is kasei, and we'll cover ourselves with our own clothes." Even though a husband, when he marries a wife, it says in the Ksuve, he has to support her, give her food, and give her clothes. We 7 women will hold on to one man. They'll say, "Marry us." Why? L'choid niskarei shmo chalono, knoish chisudono. That way, at least we'll be married, and you'll take away our embarrassment. Rashi says that there's a medrash that Nebuchadnezzar, in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, he said that the Babylonians, they can take any Jewish woman and force her to have relations with them, except if they're married, they can't. So that's why these women all wanted to be married, so that way they wouldn't be forced to have relations with the Babylonian. That's what Rashi says. B'idona ahu yehei mashiach da Hashem lechedvo v'likor v'ovdei oiraiso l'revu u'lesushbecho l'sheis vas Yisrael. In that time, which means in the future, when Mashiach will come, this is talking about the time of Mashiach, there'll be in the time of Mashiach Hashem, there'll be happiness, there'll be honor for the Jewish people. All those who keep the Torah, follow the Torah, will be considered great, will be praised. L'sush b'chol l'sheis vas Yisrael will all those who support Torah, who be connected to the Torah, will be praised, will be great by all the nations of the world. After Mashiach will come, the whole world will be at peace, and everyone will realize the greatness of the Jewish people who study Torah. V'yehei d'ishtar, and those that are left, Yisuv le'tzion, will dwell in Zion, or the Oved Oraisa, and those that keep the Torah, Yiskiyem b'Yerushalayim, will live in Yerushalayim, Kaddish Yisamar lei, and they'll be considered holy. They'll all be considered righteous. All those that live in Yerushalayim. Kol dichsiv l'chai alma. All those that are written for the future will see Yechzei ben Chomas Yerushalayim, will see in the glory of Yerushalayim, in the consolement of Yerushalayim, which means that all the righteous people will be resurrected, and in Yerushalayim, right? There'll be a resurrection. According to some midrashim, there'll be 2 resurrections. One where Mashiach will come, which then just the righteous people will be resurrected, and one will be much later, that will be everybody. So there's 2 times of resurrection.
So they have to die again, you're saying? The righteous people would have to die again?
Yeah, because the time of Mashiach, there's 2 periods. There's one is called the time of Mashiach, which the world will still be like it is today. People will still die, and there'll be peace in the world, and people will be able to study Torah. There won't be wars, but the righteous people will be resurrected. And then there's another period of time after that, which will be like a spiritual life.
The righteous people will be resurrected to be able to teach the rest of the world. Is that why?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe
So
that's the
Rosh
reason.
Yeshiva said, I think, that each Jew has responsibility of teaching 2,600 others.
28.
2,800?
2,800. 70 times 10. 70 times. How does it work? 2,800? 70.
Sit.
So we're not
Yeah,
there, we're
70 times 10 for each
we're
corner.
not there yet because we don't have that population in the world right now.
No, in China there's 1,300,000,000
It's
people.
like 7 billion people. How many Jews? 14 million? 14 million times 2,800 is what? What's the calculator?
But it's only those that are careful with tzitzis and those that are able to teach. It won't be all the Jewish people.
Oh, okay, so then it'll make, okay.
Yeah, it's
So now it's 10% of that, right? Or 20% of the...
I don't know.
no, but even
I'm not
with
so
all the
good
Jews,
at
it
math.
works out. I think we're about 0.2% of the population.
Okay.
So I think it works out.
Im Yadei Hashem Yos Tegolas Benas Tzion. Hashem will wash the dirt of the daughters of Zion through suffering. And Hashem will pour the blood of the righteous in Yerushalayim and clean the blood. B'meimar din or b'meimar gmira, with judgment. Hashem will.
What pasuk are you on? I want to...
Pasuk Daled. Yeah, it's hard to understand these verses. But I just one thing about the Hebrew word for washing is what? Rachatz, right? I was thinking there's an interesting thing if you know the Brit Shmei that we say when we take the Torah out, the Aramaic word for trusting in Hashem is Be'ano Rochitz. Rochitz, trusting in Hashem. He uses the same word, right? Because if someone trusts in Hashem, it's like Hashem is cleansing him the whole time. That's how he feels. Vayivre Hashem, and Hashem will create Al Kol Mikdash. Al Kol Mikdash. Torah the Tzion, on all the holy place of the Mount of Zion, Balasar Beis Shchinte, on the holy temple, Anan Yikar Yemetil Aleya Biyamoma. There'll be a cloud of glory during the day, Ve'amitza V'zer Ke'esha Shal Hoive Belelio, and at night there'll be a pillar of fire, just like there was in the desert. Also in the future, at the Beis Hamikdash, there'll also be a cloud to show the protection of Hashem, and there'll be fire during the day. Arei yatir min yikoro da amir laisoy alo yishchinto, because the protection of Hashem's glory will be upon them. Temenana alei beginu will protect the Jewish people. Be not kipat barzel. There'll be a protection from Hashem Himself on all the Jewish people.
But we don't have to run now.
This is Book of Yeshaya. It's not the Haftarah. Ve'al Yerushalayim tehei matlas anone, and there'll be like a sukkah to protect them. B'yamam, during the day, mishra from the heat, ulebeis seiser, and to protection, ulagono mizarmis from the mimitra, and to protect them from the rain. There'll be rain that go on the fire that will go from Gehenna beyond the wicked people, and rain will go on the wicked people, but the Jewish people will be protected. The Gemara learns out from this pasuk that the sukkah has to have shade, right? Because it says here, sukkah will be for a shade during the day. So we learn out from this pasuk. Okay. Now we're going to learn some Kesuvim, Divrei Hayomim, chapter 11. Divrei Hayomim was written by who? Who wrote the book of Divrei Hayomim? Ezra wrote the book of Divrei Hayomim, and basically goes through all the chronology of the Jewish people. Chapter 11 it's talking about how King David became king. It says, "Vaykovtzu kol Yisrael al David chavroinu le'moir hinei atzmacho v'sarcho anachnu gam tmoil gam shoshoin gam b'yoshol melech to hamoitzi v'amevis Yisrael vayomer Adonai lech locho ato tzires amis Yisrael v'ato tiyeh nogid al ami Yisrael ויבואו כל זקני ישראל אל המלך חברונו ויכרוס להם דוד פריס בחברון לפני אדוני ומשכו את דוד למלך על ישראל כדבר אדוני ביד שמואל וילך דוד בכל ישראל ירושלים הוא יבוס ושמע יבוסי יושבי אורץ ויאמרו יושבי יבוס לדוד לא יסוב הינו ואל כה דוד אס מצודת ציון היא עיר דוד ויום דוד כל מכה יבוסי בראשונו יהיה לראש ולסור ויעל בראשונו יואב בן צרויה והיא לראש ויש את דוד במצוד על כן קורא לו עיר דוד ויבנו מסביב מן המילוי ועד הסביב ויחיה שערו העיר וילך דוד הולך וגדל ואדוני צבאי עמוי ואלה ראשי הגיבורים אשר לדוד המשחקים עמוי מלכוסוי עם כל ישראל המליכו כדבר אדוני על ישראל ואלה מספר הגיבורים אשר לדוד יושבום בן חכמויני ראש השלישים הוא יראה חניסוי 300 חולל בפעם אחוס ואחרו לזור בן דודו אחיכי הוא בשלישו הגיבורים הוא היה עם דוד בפס דמים והפלישתים נאספו שם למלחמה תהי חלקס הסודם להסוירים והם נסו מפני פלישתים ויצאו בסויכה חלקו ויצילוו והכו את פלישתים ויושע אדוני תשור גדולו וידעו שלישו מן השלישים ראש על הצור אל דוד אל מורס עדולו ממחנה פלישתים חוינו בעמק רפואים ודוד עוז במצודו נציב פלישתים עוז בייס לוחם ויסף דוד ויומם ישכני מים מבוי בייס לחם אשר בשוער וקו השלישו במחנה פלישתים ישבו מים מבוי בייס לחם אשר בשער וייסו ויביאו אל דוד ולא יבוא דוד לשתויסום הנסי חסום לאדינוי ויאמר חולילולים אלוהים עשוי זויס הדם האנשים האלה ושתה בנפשו סום כי בנפשו סום הביאום ולא יבוא לשתויסום אלו עשו 13 גיבורים אפשי אחי יואב והוא ראש השלישו וירס חניסוי על 300 חולל ולא ישעים בשלישו מן השלישו בשניים נכבוד ילם לסור ועד השלישו לא יבוא נויו בן יהוידו בן ישחוי אל רב פועלים מן קצה אלו יקו שני אריאל מויוב הוא יורד יקו 10 ארי בסויך הבור ביום השולג והוא יקו 10 איש המצרי איש מידו 5 בעמו וביד המצרי חניס כי מנויר הורגים וייר אדלו בשובט ויגזול את החניס מיד המצרי ויהרגהו בחניסוי אלו סוב נויו בן יהוידו ולא ישעים בשלישו הגיבורים מן השלישי נכבוד הוא ואל השלישו לבוא וישמר דוד על משמעתוי וגיבורי החיילים אסואל אחי יואב וחנון בן עדוי בייס לוחם שמוי סערורי חילץ הפלויני אירו בן איקש התקוי אבי עזר הנצויסי סיבחי החושוסי אלי האחויכי מערי הנטויפוסי חילת בן בנו הנטויפוסי איסאי בן ריבאי מגבס בני בנימין בנויו הפירעוסויני חויראי מנחלי גואש אביאל הרבוסי אז מובס הבחרומי אל יחבו השלבויני בני הושם הגיזויני יונסון בן שוגי ההרורי אחיום בן סוחר ההרורי אליפול בן אור חיפר המחירוסי אחיו הפלויני חצרי הכרמלי נערי בן אז בוי יואל אחי נוסון מיכור בן הגרי צלק המויני נחרי הבירויסי נויסי כליו בן צרויו אירו הישרי גורב הישרי אוריו החיתי זובot בן אחלוי אדינו בן שיזו הרובני רויש לרובני ועולוב 30 חונום בן מאחו ויושופת המסני עוזיו האשטרוסי שומו ויעל בני חסום הרוי אירי ידיעאל בן שמרי ויויכו אחיו הטיצי אליאל המחבים וירווי ויושביו בני אלנועם וישמו המויובי אליאל ואויבד ויעשיאל המצוי voyo. Who was following along with me? Anybody? Hello? You following along with me? You were? It's very important to learn Tanakh. Like I said, finish every year. You do the Chumash of the day with Shnai Mikra Bechot Targum. You do a parak of Novi, parak of Ksuvim, and then you can finish every year. So I'm just going to go over what?
Well, the Shita of Chabad is similar.
Not exactly. What?
You said a parak of what?
Parak of Navi, parak of Ksuvim. So this parak, the Ksuvim I just read was from Divrei Yomim. It also has a Targum, which according to tradition was written by Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef was blind, and he would study a lot. He memorized everything. So he memorized, and he wrote a Targum for Divrei Yomim, and I'm going to read the
How can
Targum.
he study if he's blind?
People taught him. I don't know if he was born, maybe he wasn't born blind. I don't think he was born blind. So originally he studied a lot and then got blind. This Kanishu Kol Yisrael Levas David Lechevron. So the whole Jewish people, after Shaul died, so all the Jewish people came to David to Hebron, and they said to him, Lemema Okrevach of Visroch Hanachnu. We all related to you, we accept you as the king. Oif me'asmole, oif mikadmoi. Even yesterday and before that, oif kadhav Shaul Malka, even when Shaul was the king, Ad havesa mapek yosona likrova. You would bring us out to war, umel yosona lebeis madrasha, and you would bring us into the Beis HaMedrash to study Torah. Umalef Yos Yisrael, and you would teach the Jewish people. The Amar Hashem Elokoch Loch, and the Jewish people, and Hashem said to you, Ant tehei sarchon v'sishloi talami. You will be the king. You will be the shepherd for the Jewish people. V'tefarnes Yos Yisrael, you support the Jewish people. V'hante archon al ami Yisrael. So here we have. This is what David said. Hashem roi lo echsar. Because Hashem said to David, "You're going to be the shepherd." So Hashem said back to David said back to Hashem, "I can't be a shepherd. Hashem is my shepherd. Just like Hashem will take care of me, so through Hashem I'll be able to take care of the Jewish people." So David HaMelech. V'asu kol sove Yisrael levas malko lechevron. So all the Jewish people, all the elders of the Jewish people came to Hebron. Ugzala and David kiyom bechevron. Kodem Hashem. Hashem and David made a covenant with them in Hebron in front of Hashem. V'Rabbi Yosei lemalka al Yisrael. They made him a king on Israel. Hey kibiskomand Hashem demalna yodei Shmuel. Just like Shmuel had said. What does it mean in front of Hashem? They went. This is in Hebron. So what does it mean in front of Hashem? Usually, when it says in front of Hashem, it means in the Beis Hamikdash. But this was in Hebron. So what does it mean in front of Hashem? So Rashi says, whenever what?
The forefathers.
Yeah, maybe that's another explanation. But Rashi says that whenever you make a covenant, it's considered in front of Hashem. The Metzudah said that they brought the ark to Hebron. At that time, they brought the ark to Hebron. Not like Rashi, okay. V'az al David v'chol Yisrael Yerushalayim. Then they all went to Yerushalayim. Hu Yevus. At that time, Yerushalayim was called Yevus. V'tamon ad ahishaita Yevuso Yosve Ara. Because the Yevus, that's one of the 7 Canaanite nations, they were living in Yerushalayim. He went right away. As soon as they made him king, he went right away to Yerushalayim to conquer Yerushalayim. Va'amru Yosve Yevus leDavid, and the people living in Yevus said to David, Lo te'el halcha, don't come over here. Don't come over here. Uchvash David Yoschakro D'Tzion. So David did not conquer Yerushalayim, he only conquered the citadel of Zion. He countered the David. This was the city of David. So if you know Yerushalayim, so Yerushalayim is talking here about Har HaBayis versus the city of David, which is further down. So at the beginning, he just conquered that further down. It says here why. The reason is because there was blind people who were living in front of the city, in front of the walls of the city, the gates of the city. They were blind and they were lame. They couldn't see and they couldn't walk. And they said the only way you're going to be able to conquer our city is if you kill them first. So David didn't want to kill them because it's not appropriate for a king to have a war with blind people. So David said, that's true. I can't really kill them. It's not right for me to have a war with blind and lame people. So what I'm going to do, whoever can climb into the city through a different way, and where they're blind in through, so then they went in through the water, through the water canal. So they didn't go in through the gate of the city. We'll see in a minute. There's one explanation that means
David's
that
tunnels.
David tunnel. There's another explanation that the blind and the lame symbolizes Yitzchak and Yaakov, because Yitzchak was blind and Yaakov was lame, right? After the Malach fought with him. So because Avimelech had made a covenant with Avraham Avinu that the descendants of Avraham Avinu would not bother the descendants of Avimelech. These people from Yevus were descended from Avimelech. So because of that, he didn't want to make a war with them, even though it was only for a few generations and it already passed the time, so he could have. So, Va'amar David, Kol Diyiktol Yivasah, V'yichbosh Yoskato Yismanel Rav Chelon Reish Oichlan. Whoever will manage to kill the regular, not the blind and the lame, but the regular soldiers, and will conquer the city, will become my general. V'sarak b'kadmeisa Yoav bar Tzruya, so Yoav ben Tzruya went first, v'havel reish chayla, and he became the general. V'yiseiv David b'chakra, and David sat in the fort. Begin Cain tzavchin leikauta to David. Because of that, it was called the city of David. So it was like a fort over there, and that's where David lived. Uvno kauto chezor min meleso ad chizronoso. And then David built a wall. He strengthened the wall. V'yoav mefarnes yashir kauto. And Yoav strengthened the rest of the city. V'azal David ozel v'sonei, and David became greater and greater. Hashem tzvokes hava b'sadeh, and Hashem was with him. V'ilein reishe giborai odhavim David. These are the names of the strong people, the heads of the army that were with David. The mitakfanim b'malchusei misrol amluchusei. That was strong with him to keep him king. Kibiskomad Hashem al Yisrael, like Hashem had told the Jewish people. Ve'elen schumei giborai davim David gibor. These are the names of the strong people. Reish Mashuris, David was the head of the army. Yosef al Kursei Dina, he was the head of the Sanhedrin, the head of the court. V'chol neviah v'chakimai makpin lei, and all the prophets and the wise people surrounded him. Merabe b'mshach kutsho. He had been anointed with the holy oil. Right, Shmuel anointed David with the holy oil. Kad have enofik likrova, and whenever he went out to war, have a mistayim el he was helped by Hashem. Ubemisvei ulpan loiraisa, and whenever he would study Torah, have a salka shmaita alibei. The Torah would go according to him. He was the one who knew all the halacha, right? He was the greatest of all the Sanhedrin. Bechir, he was young, chosen, mefanik, shapir, berevi, he was beautiful. Piyoi bechezvei, he had a Baki b'chochmasa, he knew all the Torah. Sochla beitzasa was very wise. Gibor b'kvorasa was very strong. Reish Mesifta was the head of the yeshiva. Basim b'koli had a beautiful voice. V'rabam b'shirasa, and he knew songs. So v'sachon al kol giboraya, and he was over all the strong people. V'umesakin b'monei zayno, and he had weapons. V'notil mornise, and he had a staff or flag. The Beitola also the Takis Meshirs Yehuda. On the flag was the symbol of the tribe of Yehuda. What was the symbol of the tribe of Yehuda? A lion, right? So David had some kind of staff had on it. V'nofek al pum kal rucho de kutsha, and he would go out to war according to the spirit of Hashem. Unatzach bekrova, and he always won the war. Umetavev al yodo domernisa, and he was able to kill with his sword 300 people at one time. So this whole pasuk is talking about David HaMelech. He was able to kill 300 people. And the words, if you look in the Hebrew, it says Yoshav Am ben Chachmoini. So Yoshav Am comes from the word yeshiva on. He was the yeshiva of the people. He was the head of the yeshiva of the people. Ben Chachmoini means the wisdom. That comes from the word wisdom. So
Son
this,
of the wisdom?
it's all talking about David HaMelech, this whole pasuk. The next strong person after David was his cousin, Basroi Elazar Bar Doidoi. Elazar, his cousin, Bitloso Giboraya. He was from the three strong ones. There was three strong people who were connected to David. Who have him David? He was with David Pas Damim. That's the name of a place, Pas Damim, where the Philistines made a war. ופלישתו הסכן שתמון לסדור קרובו, והאחסון אסחק לו, מליו עללתו. And the field was full of half of it, palgot loifchin, half of it was beans, ufalgo sarin, half of it was barley. He was in this field. The Philistines started a war in this field that was half barley and half beans. The Amma apochim in kodam plishtoy, and all the people were running away from the Philistines. V'is'atado b'matzo, and these three strong people stood in the middle of the field. Achsanto v'shezvu, and they saved the field. Uktolu yos plishtoy, and they killed the Philistines. Ufarak Hashem al yidei purkono rabba, and Hashem caused great miracles through them.
Similar to Shimshon. He burnt the fields.
Yeah.
He thought he was sugar, but he was...
I guess this was the food for the people, so they wanted to protect the food. So that's why they killed them. Unechosu, there's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. If Goyim come to make a war against Jews, even if they want to just take the food away, they're not coming to kill. They're just coming to take the food away. Then you're allowed to even on Shabbos fight back, because if you let them take your food, then eventually they're going to kill you too. So that's why it's a halach in Shulchan Aruch that you're allowed to fight them back even on Shabbos. That's what the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he held, that we're not allowed to give back Sinai, because if you start giving back Sinai, then they want everything else. And he learnt it from that halacha. What?
That's what's happening.
So he was right. No, it wasn't so obvious at the time. He wasn't for a campaign.
No, Rav
He
Shach,
wasn't for any of
Rav Shach disagreed with him, and other rabbis too. I guess they felt because of peace, and I don't know.
What he knew.
Rav Vadi also held that, like Rav Shach.
Why said he should give it back, or he should keep it?
No, but the Rebbe was a lone man. He was a lone ranger. He wasn't into giving even an inch.
Yeah, and he said it has nothing to do with the holiness of Israel, because Sinai isn't really part of Israel. He said because of this halacha in Shulchan Aruch, the halacha is that you're not allowed to surrender anything, because once you start surrendering, they want everything. Even in Crown Heights, the Rebbe said the same thing, because they wanted in the Crown Heights riots.
The blacks.
What was the purpose of it? Because they wanted the Lubavitchers to leave Crown Heights. That was their purpose. The Rebbe said, no, we're going to stay here. And then David Dinkins, who was then the mayor.
Value.
What?
He brought up the property value.
Yeah. Then the David Dinkins came to see the Rebbe, and he says to the Rebbe, both sides have to get along. So the Rebbe said, we're all on the same side. We're all here to serve God. We're all here in this world to serve God. We're all on the same side. It was such a good answer. But the Rebbe meant it. He didn't just say it. It wasn't just, like David Dinkins, like, he could say anything. That's... Okay. So... So here you see that, the David HaMelech, he said, we have to not even let them take these beans, this field of beans and the barley, even that. And then these three strong people went. The Reishem Ashriso, the heads of the army, Al Tinoro, they went on top of this big rock, Levas David, towards David, who was inside a cave, the Moras Adulam. It's a cave somewhere called Adulam. I think they know where it is, a place called Adulam, even today. And the army of the Philistines were in the valley Emek Rephaim. You know what that is,
Yeah,
right?
their roads with all the restaurants.
Emek Rephaim, yeah. Where this,
What's that?
that's that big valley
Down
between
Where you went to the Showcross.
where the windmill is.
Microphone.
Where the windmill, that valley. After the windmill, there's this big valley where the cinema deck is, and that area. That's called Emek Rephaim. Emek Rephaim. It means the valley of the.
Rephaim is Arabic.
It means strong. This valley of the strong. The David b'chein haba b'chakron. David was inside the fort.
Valley. Oh, strong valley.
The Isterig, Pishtoi, b'chein bebeis Lochem, and the head of the Philistines was in Bethlehem. V'chamedes nafshe de David, and then David said, "V'amar man yeshkinuni mayo miguva de beis Lochem di betaro." Who can bring me water from the well, not the well, the hole of in the entrance to Bethlehem there was water. There was a hole with water in it, and David wanted water from there. And he said, "Who can go get me water? Even though the Philistines are there, the head of the Philistines, I want someone to go get me water from there." He says that David was used to it because David grew up in Bethlehem, and he wanted that water. Because any place that a person is used to, that's what he wants. He brings here, Rashi brings an example. There was a queen who got married out of her country, and she got sick, and the doctor said the only way she can get healed if she washes in the waters from her place, and that's what they did, and then she got healed. Because a person is used to, I guess he gets immune. His body is the thing where he's from. That's good for him. An example: when I was in Iraq or in Egypt, the Iraqis and the Egyptians, they drink the water from the Nile River and from the Euphrates.
But
if we would drink it, we would get sick. But their body is immune to it.
That's
right?
like I get sick here if I drink this water.
So don't.
I don't.
Okay, good. And drink Coca-Cola.
Learn the
Comes
hard
from
way.
Atlanta. What?
You learned the hard way.
Yeah. So Veisgabarut Losa Gibaraya, so these three people, the three strong people, went with Salachala and Orcha b'Mashuris Plishtoi. They went through the enemy, the Philistines, the Malumai, and they filled up water, Miguva, the Beis Lochem, from the water, Tibetaro, that's in the entrance to Beis Lochem, and Natolo Nasiva, Bethlehem, right? Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And Natolo Nasiva Asal Avas David, they brought it to David, Veloy Tzovim David Lemishta Yasim. So David didn't want to drink it. Why? Because they endangered their life to bring him the water, so he didn't want to drink it. He said, I'm going to pour it in front of Hashem. I'm not going to drink it. And he said, Chasli, Chas v'sholem, for me, to drink the water. Because by me drinking the water, it's like I'm drinking the blood of these people. I'm drinking their blood, the azola b'sakonas nafshesein, because they went in sakonas nefashis, endangered their life. And he didn't want to drink it. This is the strength that these people did. So why did he say that he wants water from there? It's a Rashi. The Metzuda said that he didn't really want. He was just saying. He was just thinking loud to himself. He wishes he had the water, but he didn't expect them to go and actually get the water for him. So what he did use the water for, Rashi says, it was during Sukkot. And he poured it for Nisuch HaMayim. You know, there's on Sukkot, he's supposed to pour water on the Mizbeach. So he used this water and poured it on the Mizbeach to ask for rain, right? It's to ask for rain. So these were the three people. So we have David, then we have Elazar. The next one is called Avshai. The Avshai Achai de Yoav. Avshai, the brother of Yoav, who Reish Giborai, he was also the head of the strong people. Who Mesabeb Yos Mornose, he could also kill 300 people at one time. And he also was very, as a matter of fact, there's a story in the Talmud that Avishai one time saved David, because what happened, one time on a Friday, David was going on his, catching a deer, and he came to this place near where the Philistines lived, and the brother of Goliath, who was also a giant, saw him, and he caught him, And what happened? He threw him up in the air. He wanted to kill him. And just then Avishai came and saved him. Just the last minute. And he killed this giant. A story like that. I don't remember all the details. Min tlos agav train have yakir. V'haveloin l'rabonot los geborin loin moto. And from these three, he was the second most important, and he became the head officer. But he didn't come to the strength of the greater ones. I guess Yoav was his brother, was greater than him, stronger than him. The next one is Bnoyo. Pasuk Chaf Bet.
Parsha.
Divrei Hayomim Aleph, Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Chaf Bet.
We don't have it.
We have to finish now. So basically, the curriculum is to learn every day the Chumash of the day, and then a Perek in Navim, Perek Suvim, and then you finish Tanakh every year. And also, if you can, is also to do Mishnah. You do either 2 Prakim or 1 Perek a day, and you can also finish the whole Shishter Mishnah every year. So that's my curriculum here that I'm working on. And another very important book, which I suggest everybody should study, is Mesilas Yesharim, Path of the Just. If you know, one of the biggest spiritual movements in the world today is called the 12 Steps. They use it, alcoholics and drug addicts, they have the 12 Steps. It's a very special program that they have. But the Jewish people, we have our own 12-step program, which is Mesilas Yesharim. And it's really a step program how to get close to Hashem. That's what Mesilas Yesharim is. One of the most important Sfarim in Judaism is Mesilas Yesharim. So everybody should study it at least once, a little bit. Once a week, once a day.
It's the Musar book, right?
It's a Musar book.
Yeah,
Well, it's not just Musar, it's foundation of Judaism. Right?
That's good.
They just came out with a new one from Art Scroll.
All the time.
It's got Kabbalah in it too.
Yeah.
Rosh Chaim Lutzato.